Welcome to US-based news channel. Bakhmut victory goal, which Russian President Vladimir Putin had dreamed of for months, ended in great disappointment. Using the most powerful systems at its disposal, the Ukrainian army began to advance on critical fronts. At the most critical point of the 1,000 kilometers front line, there have been quite striking developments in the last 12 hours. More than 40 attacks by the Russian army on Bakhmut during the night to reach their targets on the 9th of May. Most of them were repelled by Ukrainian forces. A few hours later, Ukrainian forces launched a simultaneous attack both south and north of the city. In the report shared by the 3rd Separate Assault Brigade of the Ukrainian army, it was reported that the Russian army lost 500 soldiers in Bakhmut in just one day. Underlining the incredible impact of the Ukrainian Air Force in the region, the Ukrainian authorities reported that the warplanes neutralized a total of 151 enemy soldiers during the day. More interestingly, the Ukrainian Armed Forces reported that the 72nd Motor Rifle Brigade of the Russian army fled from Bakhmut after the Ukrainian heroes applied intense pressure on the Russian forces. All these reports show that the Ukrainian army managed to upset the balances at the front in one day. Russian sources report that in the reports written by the Russian soldiers to their commanders, they wrote that the Ukrainian army claimed that the spring offensive had begun. This shows that the attack launched by the Ukrainian army at night was quite severe. When we look at the shared maps, it is seen that the Russian army has lost an area of approximately 2 to 3 kilometers at the critical points of the front line. Experts evaluate the date of May 9 as the most important breaking point of the war. Having achieved such an important victory for the first time in a long time, the Ukrainian forces are expected to continue their uninterrupted advance from now on. Some experts even argue that the moment that the Ukrainian commanders have been waiting for a long time has come, and the spring offensive will begin much earlier than expected. Evaluating these allegations, Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council Secretary Alexei Danilov stated that the final plans for Ukraine's counterattack have not yet been approved by the country's commander-in-chief, President Volodymyr Zelensky. We have several options regarding the counterattack plan. Decisions will be made at any given time according to the prevailing circumstances. There is no need to wait for anything, said Danilov. Making a statement similar to his previous statements, Danilov announced in April that only 5 officials knew where and when Ukraine's spring offensive would begin. Choosing to keep the information about the spring attack secret, the Ukrainian authorities want to surprise the Russian army. As you may recall, the most important reason for the success of the Ukrainian army in its attacks on Kharkiv and Kherson was the unexpected start of these attacks. Events of the last 15 months clearly show that the Russian army has not been able to effectively respond to the attacks launched by the Ukrainian forces overnight. But the real question here is, how successful will the Ukrainian army's counterattack be? Although Western states have provided billions of dollars in military aid to the Ukrainian military in recent months, we still have some questions. Some experts say that without long-range weapons, it is not possible for the Ukrainian army to make significant gains, while others argue that the Ukrainian ground forces can achieve great success alone. In this context, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced that Ukraine believes that Russia has the resources it needs to recover the lands it has captured since February 24, 2022. Blinken stressed that the key is training, not just weapons. At least 100,000 Ukrainian soldiers have been trained in the western states so far. Although some of them participated in the operations on the front, a significant part of them continue their training. Reports shared by open sources show that more than 30,000 Ukrainian soldiers who have completed their training in the western provinces will come to the front in the next month or two. This shows that the estimates of the US official are realistic. We have witnessed many times that the Ukrainian soldiers gained a significant advantage against the Russian forces thanks to the training they received in the conflicts that took place until today. Ukrainian soldiers, who learned to use the weapons sent by Western states quickly and effectively, managed to create wonders even with simple missile and artillery systems. More importantly, as Blinken stated, it seems that the main goal of the Ukrainian army will be to liberate the lands captured by the Russian army since February 24. Although some dreamy experts claim that the Ukrainian army could easily capture the Crimea, this seems unlikely. Therefore, it is believed that Ukrainian commanders will directly try to take control of the entire Zaporizhia Oblast. Aware of the fact that most of the Russian army's brigades are in the Donbas Oblast, the Ukrainian commanders are also aware that the enemy defense lines in the south are weak. Although the Russian army has created several layers of defense lines, the Ukrainian soldiers received the necessary training to overcome these obstacles. Even better, considering that the Ukrainian army has not used the new generation tanks and war vehicles sent by the Western states, we can say that Ukraine will send an incredible force to the front in the spring offensive. Long-range missile strikes seem like the only chance for the Russian military to thwart such a massive ground attack. However, the images shared a few minutes ago show that the Ukrainian army took effective measures against these missile attacks. Photograph shared by the Ukrainian army shows the Swedish RBS-70 short-range portable anti-aircraft missile system protecting airspace in the Kiev region. According to reports, as early as January 2023, the military trained on RBS-70 simulators. Swedish instructors were impressed by how quickly Ukrainian soldiers mastered this system. According to the military, the system shown in the photo has so far shot down dozens of Russian cruise missiles and Iranian-made kamikaze UAVs. This air defense system, which can detect air targets 75 kilometers away thanks to the radars it uses, can hit any enemy target 8 kilometers away. There is no clear data on how many of these air defense systems are in the hands of the Ukrainian army. However, the portability of these systems makes their capabilities unique. It is known that mobile air defense units constitute the most important part of the air defense barrier of the Ukrainian army. More than 5,000 Ukrainian soldiers are using portable air defense systems to protect the Ukrainian skies against enemy missile and drone attacks. In fact, when we look at the reports, we see that after the Ukrainian army created mobile air defense units, Russian warplanes started not to enter the borders of Ukraine. This situation prevents the Russian army from using its greatest advantage. Had the Russian Air Force been able to provide close air support to tanks and infantry units, the war would have ended within the first 3 months. These data show how much influence Ukrainian mobile air defense units have in the war. Even better, the announcement made a few hours ago indicates that the Ukrainian military will soon have even more advanced military systems. In this regard, President Volodymyr Zelensky announced that Ukraine is working with its partners to provide additional defense packages. There is a new defense package from the United States. Total amount is $1.2 billion. This package includes other things that will strengthen our defenses against missiles and drones, Zelensky said. Zelensky thanked U.S. President Joe Biden, the U.S. Congress for their continued support and the American power that adds to Ukraine's power. The help of the USA, the biggest supporter of the Ukrainian army, is of great importance for Ukraine to win the war. Experts think that the military aid of the USA and other Western states to Ukraine will continue to increase day by day. It is this belief of the Allied countries in the victory of Ukraine that will ensure the eternal end of Russian aggression. Although the Russian authorities are not aware of it at the moment, it will be the end of Russia regardless of the outcome of this war. Information on the subject is limited to these. We will continue to monitor the world and especially Ukraine. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We have reached the end of another video. You can support us by liking the video. You can easily follow new videos by subscribing. I wish you all a war-free day. See you.